Thank you for joining us. This is the Japan CPO Association's first online event called Product Leaders 2021. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here. Ken, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to such an august audience. Well, I've been at Salesforce about 12 years. A life before that was with FinTech. But for the most part, I've been with Salesforce, donning several different roles. For the longest time, I've established and run a group that focused on helping our largest customers from within product. And what that required was, how do we create multipliers from what our customers are telling us? How do we take that feedback and build it in to our own product and create net new multipliers as a result of that? I was supported by a wonderful engineering team that focused on the scale and performance aspects of how we push the boundaries of the product. A few weeks ago, I joined, so I'm fairly new to the role, but I've joined our India CEO, Arundhati Bhattacharya, on this journey of scaling India and leading strategy and innovation there. That's it. That's a little bit about me. Aside from these, I'm very passionate about women's empowerment. So have had the honor of creating the Salesforce Women's Network, but also work with several other women's NGOs and several other organizations as a thought leader.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So can you tell us about the role of strategy and innovation at Salesforce?
Sure. So when you think about our OUs, so Salesforce, as you probably know, Ken, we started off in San Francisco. And when we think about different regions and as we expand internationally, we need to consider what the market requirements are. We need to look at what are the market segments that we're going after in each of these countries. As a result of that, the products that are required for these markets are also very different. Now, from that standpoint, we need to have some form of, I almost would say, product strategy. There needs to be an organizational strategy, but if you just hone in on product, there needs to be an understanding of what do our customers need in each region, and what are we going to build versus what do we get from off the platform? Because not everything can be built by a single company. You can't satisfy every single customer use case. So that's kind of the strategy part of it. The innovation is, of course, I could speak to India. The market is ripe for innovation. Several companies like Facebook and Microsoft and many others have actually invested in this market recently. And the idea behind that is, if you set aside the past 2 months with COVID, for the most part, the country has been growing. There's a lot of young talent. It's one of the youngest countries in the world. So as a result of that, there's a lot of opportunity to innovate. And so that is one of the pieces that we're also looking at to see how can we not just build within our own company, but how can we also get help from one of the youngest nations of the world to add on to what we build.
Great. So you mentioned product strategy. So how do you work with product management?
Sure, that's a great question. So with respect to product management, our product management teams have, they're amazing, and they have, you are part of it as well. Now, they have certain goals, certain areas that they want to cover, and they think about it globally and holistically. Now, when you think about a region and several aspects of it, you have to look and find a balance between their short and long-term goals, right, from a product perspective, but also your regional goals on customer adoption, retention, what's going to give your customers the success in your region. Now, as a result of that, finding that balance requires then constant communication and collaboration with our product managers to say, here's what the market needs are for the next few months at least, or the next year at best, and to also keep an eye on the long term. What is product coming with, and how can we help them by giving them early feedback so that they can tweak it to stay relevant in the market?
So how do you determine whether to buy or to build?
So I say look at your core competency, focus on what is your core competency. As a PM team, you're always looking at, your total addressable market. You're looking at what can you deliver, but also you're looking at, what's the minimum viable product that you can get out there, because you're juggling so many different things, whether it be the time to get to the market, how much can you deliver without then backtracking. So you want to get out there with something very minimal, very quick, get feedback, early feedback, and then build on that alone. Now, there is a lot of maintenance. So if you start adding too much complexity up front, then there is maintenance cost, whether it be from your engineering standpoint or whether it be from your customer standpoint. And to me, there is an opportunity cost. When I think about, core competency, but also the adjacent, frills or the adjacent competencies and capabilities that you need, I think it's important to have the opportunity cost in mind. So if you could build X or Y or Z, then pick the X that you think by building this quarter will give you maximum ROI, and then look out in the market. There are partnerships you can entertain. You can look at other smaller companies. If you have the ability to buy, you can buy their solution, but you can also partner with other companies to say, hey, we'll provide X, but let's have a joint roadmap. To me, co-creation is a huge part of what can be done with several enterprise companies, but also with partners.
How do acquired products fit into your roadmap?
That's a good question. We were just talking about the partnerships, right? To me, there are several ways in which we can think about this. To me, I look at it from a customer standpoint at the end of the day. So you drive a persona as a product manager or as a product leader, and it is based on that persona, all the jobs to be done. So think of all the jobs that they would want to do, and then tie that back with your product features. I think that kind of what I call the use case mapping to your own feature set is important, but then also holistically thinking about a solution. And what I mean by that is maybe let's take a persona with 10 jobs to be done. And as a sales leader, they might want to do, calendaring management. They might want to do, CRM, basic CRM. So account opportunity management, leads management. So now when we look at it this way, we're looking at it from a product perspective. Ultimately, if you think about it, what does a sales leader want to do? Close deals. They want to get good leads. They want to get, they want to have, reminders of if they've not contacted a customer for a long time. Now, these are more in tune with the jobs that are to be done and how you do them. It could be through various account management tools, calendaring tools, you name it, your product suite will cover those. And so to me, anytime you acquire a company, there's a lot of time that you spend in the legal and compliance integration. A lot of time also needs to be spent right from the very beginning to have those conversations with the technical leaders, the product leaders, to say, what are the pieces that will fit well? What are the pieces that will complement well? And then what are some of the pieces that might have to be discarded on both sides? It shouldn't be that if you are the acquirer, you discard 50% of what you've acquired, then what's the point of acquiring them? So if there are ways in which you can reduce the maintenance costs on their side, then it helps you overall as a company together now. And but at the same time, giving them that flexibility for another year or so to maintain their own roadmaps and to find ways to integrate it organically is a much better strategy than just cutting them off and saying, starting from tomorrow, you are now part of this new roadmap.
What is the product organization's role in the post-merger integration, often referred to as PMI?
I think no company here will tell you that any acquisition or any merger is easy. It is a process of the coming together of the people, process, and technologies. So, and each time you merge or you acquire, the process is going to be different. Now, I think sometimes when thinking about this, I say even before the merger or even before the acquisition, it's important to connect with the other team at a humane level. It goes a long way to help smooth out conversations and have increased transparency in conversations you're going to have. The first, I would say 3 to 6 months, you spend in integrating your R&D, looking at the technical stack, the architecture across both organizations, almost a plan, if you will, a plan for a plan. And you're planning on how to integrate your products, having product managers meet with each other, understanding where roadmaps collide, where there are overlaps, and what can be done to streamline going forward. And of course, the sales teams and distribution is a huge other area. You want to leverage, sales teams. They're great at what they do, but they're also so focused and specialized in their areas. So the question becomes, do you want to let them be as is, or do you want to start having them sell net new product that they may not have experiences in? So I think after that, once you start the next few months aligning your product roadmaps, aligning your product practices, technical practices, it's also about thinking, is there an opportunity to use that timeline to have these teams cross-sell? You could have teams cross-selling with each other. You could have mini task forces, if you will, as I call them, wherein you have a set of 500 customers, let's say, and you have 1,000 customers in company B. Why not create an introduction? Why not see if there is any synergy that you can achieve across these two companies? And then, of course, then there is the whole consolidation after that, but those don't traditionally fall under the product organization. But those are, I think, the key areas that one needs to focus on.
You mentioned the Salesforce Women's Network, and obviously, I think the concept of equality in product, people are starting to bring that in. Can you tell us about the Salesforce Women's Network?
Sure. The Salesforce Women's Network is a group of 49 chapters established around the globe, and to me, it was there are several pieces around why, and I'll be happy to share it with you, Ken, to share it with the audience as well, as to why both diversity and inclusion, is important in a workplace. It's not just important because it's the right thing to do. It's also supremely important because it actually helps add to the GDP of countries, those diverse perspectives that come. So let me first start with diversity is being called to a party. So think of a party, you actually getting called to it is diversity. But you being asked to dance is the actual inclusion phase. So you can come to a party and stand in the corner, and that's diversity. You can say, I've got, women in the company. I've got LGBTQ in the company. I've got different genders, different age groups in the company. But I think what is most important is to ensure that there is equal opportunity, equal pay, and a work environment that allows for diverse perspectives to be shared in what I consider a safe space and a safe environment. Now, the reason a lot of companies are doing this and a lot of boards you see in the United States are coming up with more women is there's a lot of money riding on this. If you think about it, several BlackRock, State Street, several organizations have recognized the value of it. I will send you a McKinsey article, which you can share, which talks about how we could add up to $12 billion in terms of GDP to the world's economy if we could get every woman in there. But I'll leave you with one simple example as to why I started or co-created the Women's Network. I looked at my mom. I looked at, and I think it applies to several people of that generation. They run a mini unit, a business unit by themselves. It comprises of their small family. They have to maintain a budget. They have to think about long-term goals like college. They have to worry about balancing it with short-term and long-term goals. They also have to, at the same time, keep their employees, which is their kids who are dishwashing and doing all of those fun activities. They have to keep them happy. It comes with several years of training. And to me, what better way to improve an organization than to take some of those managerial skills that they automatically come with into the workplace? Why not bring those diverse perspectives into the workplace? An alarming number of women are actually leaving STEM careers right now. And the COVID has not done us any benefit in this area. In fact, it has retrogressed. But on a positive note, even just taking a simple meeting with a new woman colleague, or getting someone in colleges, like going and speaking in colleges about how a STEM career is important, or what can it be, like how can you use it? I think those are pieces that are critical to bring about the kind of diversity we need, especially in tech, along the way. And if numbers are needed, if numbers are anything to show, in the early 2000s, we had only 18% of women graduating STEM careers, whereas in the 60s, it was actually 56%.
Wow.
So if you think about it, we are seeing a steady decline. And I think it's high time, it's 2021. It's high time we do away with these gender-specific roles at home, at work. And if someone's good at something, I say just let them do it. Your gender shouldn't matter at the end of the day.
So Salesforce has been around for 20 years, and now you're going into new markets like India. So what are some of the things that made Salesforce as a company target India, and also how are you going to make that happen?
So I think any time and for any company, while we still have a large market, we have to, like any company that's looking to grow, has to look globally, has to look beyond the region where it began. And so I don't think Salesforce is unique in that. And I'm sure many in your audience will agree that they have to look beyond just the regions that they begin with, which is Japan in this case. I say focus on your values and build on that. Salesforce's values are trust. We value trust above anything and everything. Our customers' data, our customers' metadata, just them being able to put sensitive information into the cloud and giving us that trust to hold it for them securely, safely, and most importantly, available when they need it is paramount. Customer success is critical. And this is where markets differ. When I came to Japan, I remember I learned very quickly the art of saying, I might butcher it, apologies in advance, Ohayo gozaimasu, and just a few words to showcase the respect for the culture. It's a very beautiful culture, but to showcase the respect and to say, if I make a mistake, I'm sorry. And it is good intention, which results in then greater impact together. Understanding your customer markets requires local knowledge. So while I sit here in San Francisco and I'm trying to do this balancing act between taking an American company into a global company now and taking it within India, the way I look at it is I want to listen to my partners in India. I want to hear from them on what's working and what's not working. So I'm constantly communicating with them because your strategy is only as good as you execute. So whatever you hear on the ground needs to come back and needs to be not filtered. So that leads me into my third piece around innovation. Innovation can only happen in a safe space. If people don't feel comfortable to give that feedback, then you are going to have disconnected processes and results in loss of revenue, essentially, at the end of the day. And of course, we touched upon equality, but I think just holding the other accountable for what they need to know, but also trusting them goes a long way in ensuring that we build a business that is global. That's just how I look at it, Ken.
Great. Divya, thank you so much for your time. It's been a lot of interesting, it's great to be able to hear to share all of your knowledge. So thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. And have a great rest of the conference.